Hey guys, and welcome to the first ever video on this brand new channel. I'm a big fan of college football, and I thought that it would be pretty cool to start my own YouTube channel and look at some games, look at some conference standings, look at national title hopes, Heisman, and maybe even like future news in the sport and all that, and my honest reaction to things. That's pretty much what we're going to be going for here. Very little scripting done, aside from maybe a couple of bullet points that I want to mention. Really just off the cuff, just talking about games, being really authentic. If that is something that interests you, go ahead and hit subscribe, maybe like the video, share it with some friends, and let's just have a good time here. So first off, I want to talk about just Florida State, Georgia Tech. This game in Dublin, Ireland, a glorified road game for both teams, even though the stands looked like it was just Florida State fans. I don't know if that's actually their fans making that trip or Dublin just deciding this is who we're supporting. By the way, that stadium, like if you saw the stadium, there's just houses next to it, which I thought was crazy. I thought that's honestly awesome. Imagine that like next to Arrowhead. Anyway, what a game. If you actually watch the game, this was such a fun one to watch. Georgia Tech is sneaky good. I think anyone that's not a casual fan knew that going into the season. Not saying they're going to win the ACC or make the playoff or anything like that, but they're good, and we all knew that going in. This score didn't surprise me. I just thought it was going to be the other way around. I thought it would be like 24-21 or some form of this score. Pretty close. I knew Georgia Tech was going to be in this game. Just didn't think Florida State would actually drop it. People are blaming DJU, and I think he does deserve some of the blame. But really, if you look at the play calling from the first half, they didn't trust him from the get-go. It's not like they gave him a couple reps and was like, no, we can't do this. They just immediately are calling plays that didn't suggest that they wanted him really even to be their quarterback. It felt like this was just a guy they went and got from the stands and didn't trust him one bit. He's not an elite quarterback. Georgia Tech knew that. Florida State knows that. We know that. The whole country knows it. Hell, even Dublin, Ireland probably saw his play and was like, this guy's not elite. This guy doesn't know he's doing too much. But they didn't trust him. And that was obvious, and they should have. They should have allowed him to throw deeper passes and try more things, especially whenever they got down. I know they stormed back and tied it up, but really should have tried more stuff with this whole passing game here, and I think they will figure that out. I think this Florida State team will look drastically different by the time they reach the end of the season. In my preseason, before this game happened, I predicted Florida State to make the ACC title game but lose it to Miami. I had them in the playoffs still. I'm not too sure about that anymore, and it's not because they're starting the season 0-1 and their season's over, because it's not. If you really want me to say, should they be worried, I will. Yes, Florida State should be worried. The fans should be worried because they have tougher games than this on their schedule, and this suggests that they're going to lose them. And that sucks because Georgia Tech over here has got a really, really tough schedule. This team is going to go 6-6 or maybe plus minus one of that. And people are going to look at this team that are casual fans and say like, oh, this is a bad team. No, this is a good team. Their schedule is just awful. If they had a little bit more of an easier schedule, like we could very well see this team in the ACC title game. But that's the beauty about playing these games, is knowing what we're getting. Because if you go look at the SMU game, we thought that SMU was going to maybe make a name for themselves here. And I don't necessarily think that anymore based on that Nevada game. But here I see Georgia Tech, and I'm like, they could do something if things fall their way. They won't. Their schedule's brutal. If you want to take a look at it, I wasn't going to click around in this video, but if you want to take a look at the schedule here on the left side where my mouse is, it's not favorable. Like Syracuse is going to be a hard game here. Louisville is going to be a hard game. North Carolina, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, Miami. This ending slate here, these 6 games, I think all 6 of these could be losses. Do I think all 6 of them will be losses? No. Like fully, they probably pick up 1 or 2 of these. I don't know which ones they pick up. It could be completely random. They might just sound off against NC State. You have no idea what's going to happen here, and I think it's pretty evident based on these first couple games in week 0. We don't know what is going on in this sport. let's get back here to this other screen. Yeah, and if we go look at Florida State's schedule here, it's not easy either. I don't think it's as rough, but I mean, Memphis, they've had to play Memphis. Granted, this is at home, but that's a losable game. Memphis is potentially going to be our group of 5 representative in the playoff. I'm worried. I'm very worried about Florida State and them moving forward. I think that's right of everyone to really suggest that. It's a portal class. It's a high portal class, which worked for them last year, but it doesn't look like it's working again. They might have just had lightning in a bottle last year, and it's unfortunate that Jordan Travis went down, because I'm in the camp of if Jordan Travis didn't go down, they maybe could have won a game in that playoff. Would they have won the whole thing? I don't know. It probably would have been the year to do it, so I think that would be in the realm of possibility. But whether or not they won it or not, I think we'd be in the same situation we are right now, because Jordan Travis would have left for the NFL, and they would have got DJU probably. And just to harp back on DJU one more time about him not being elite, you don't need an elite quarterback. Listen, Will Howard's up at Ohio State. He's really good, but he's not elite, and I personally think they're going to go really deep. They might even win the whole thing. I think they have probably one of the deepest rosters in the sport. So you don't really need it, but you just need to trust the guy more. Let's move back on to Georgia Tech for a second, though, with Haynes King here. The stat line doesn't suggest that this is good for him. Seems all right, but I think he's really good. I think that his decision making maybe needs a little bit more work. I don't love that he doesn't slide. He is a little bit of a bigger built guy. His shoulders are nice and broad. He can lower that shoulder and get in there, but I worry about longevity for him. Now he's a guy that's not going to go make a name for himself in the NFL. That's just not what's going to happen here. So that's maybe it's in his head. Maybe it's in the game plan for Georgia Tech that he can be disposable and really get in there in nitty gritty. But they do run a 2 quarterback type situation where on the goal line they bring in another guy, which is Zach Pyron down there in the rushing. He actually has a touchdown in that game. A little bigger guy as well, kind of like a Oklahoma State J.W. Walsh situation from I don't know what year that was. So 2013, 2012. I digress. But overall, I like this game. Don't think we should have games in Dublin, even though this was really good. But it will be interesting to see how this kind of whole thing pans out. The one silver lining for Florida State losing this game is that I think the committee at the end of the season will look at Georgia Tech way better than they did prior to the season to start, what people's perception of them was. This loss is going to be marked down as quality. I already marked this down as a quality loss for Florida State. It doesn't seem like that. And I understand that, and some casuals might watch and really disagree with that statement. But I promise you, Georgia Tech is a good team. Like I said, they can go 6-6. They might even lose one more than that, and I would still chalk them to be a good team. Now, I'm not going to go going on and on about this game. That's pretty much all I have to say about it. I will be excited to see where this goes. If you guys have any suggestions about what type of topics you might see me want to talk about or anything like that, go ahead and drop them in the comments below, and I'll try to get to them and make some quick little videos on them. Thank you guys so much for watching.